Okay girls, it is now time for our topic lesson. In our topic lessons, we have been learning all about fantastic women. Let's see if we can remember all of the fantastic women we have been learning about. First, we learned about Amelia Earhart, the famous pilot. Can you remember the name of her plane? It was called the Canary because it was yellow. Then we learned about Marie Curie. Marie Curie was the famous scientist. Can you remember one of the elements that Marie Curie discovered? She discovered two. They were radium and polonium. Then we learnt about Florence Nightingale. Can you remember Florence Nightingale's nickname? The Lady with the Lamp. She was a famous nurse. Then we learnt about Daphne du Maurier, the famous author who went to our school, St. Margaret's. Can you remember the name of any of Daphne du Maurier's books? She wrote Rebecca, Jamaica Inn, My Cousin Rachel, and many more. So well done if you could remember one of them. Then, of course, we learned about Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman to go to space. So that was very exciting, learning about Valentina Tereshkova and thinking all about space. So today we are going to learn about another famous astronaut. Today we are going to think all about the very first British person, so the very first person from our country to go to space, and that was Helen Sharman. And this is extra special for us because the very first person from our country, the very first British person from our country to go to space was a woman, and her name was Helen Sharman. So we're going to have a little think and learn a little bit more about her, so make sure you are sitting comfortably. Helen Sharman was the first British person to go into space. What did Helen do before becoming an astronaut? Helen had a degree in chemistry from the University of Sheffield and a doctorate from Birkbeck College in London. She worked as an engineer and a chemist. So she wasn't always an astronaut, she was an engineer and a chemist, and then she became an astronaut. Some fun facts about Helen Sharman. Helen was born on the 30th of May 1963. She comes from Sheffield, which is in our country, of course. Helen found space amazing, and I know lots of you find space amazing, so maybe one day you would like to go to space too. What has Helen achieved? Helen applied with 13,000 other people to be an astronaut in 1989 after hearing a radio advert looking for astronauts. She had to take many tests and then got the job as part of the British mission called Project Juno. Helen completed 18 months of difficult training in Russia, then became a research cosmonaut walking on board the Soyuz TM-12. They launched into space on the 18th of May in 1991 and returned to Earth on the 26th of May. Helen did medical and agricultural tests during their 8-day mission in space. What is Helen Sharman remembered for? She was an astronaut and a scientist. She is one of only 59 women who have flown in space. Wow! Helen was the first ever British astronaut in space, and she travelled around the UK talking about her experiences in space. Wow, so Helen Sharman really was a fantastic woman, or really is a fantastic woman because she's still alive and she still does lots of interesting work at universities, which you might like to read a little bit more about. And she wasn't always an astronaut. She started off as an engineer and as a chemist, and then she trained really hard in Russia. She trained really hard with the cosmonauts there. Do you remember that word from yesterday? Cosmonaut, the Russian word for an astronaut. And she trained really hard, and then she flew to space, and she did lots of interesting tests when she was in space too. So I think we should definitely write about Helen Sharman in our information book about fantastic women. So let's have a little think about what we could write. So this will be our 6th page for our information book, and I have written our title, which is of course Helen Sharman, because that is her name, and I have my word bank here with a few different words on it in case I need some help. So I think for my sentence on Helen Sharman I will write, she was the first Britain in space. So we call somebody who is British, we call them a Briton. So she was the first Briton in space. So it has 7 words. Okay, let's see if we can write them out together. So we're going to start with she, and we'll start with a capital letter because it is the first letter in our sentence. And we know she is one of our tricky words. She, and then we will write the next word, was, another one of our tricky words. So I'm leaving a finger space. Was. Okay, and then we're going to write the. I don't quite think I have enough space there, so I'll start it on the next line. The. First. First. I know it starts with a. Maybe I can have some help from my word bank. Oh, here. First. This must say first. Yes, it does. So I can use that to help me. The first. Then we're going to write the word Britain. And because it is a word that is telling us where the person is from, it's the name of the country. So it's going to start with a capital letter. So the first letter, B. So, okay. Don't think I have enough space there, so I'll start it there. So it's a capital B. Britain. Let me see if I can use my word bank. Oh yes, Britain. I think I could try and sound it out, but it on Britain. Britain, great. First Britain in. So I'll use my eyes this time for my space. In, of course, in space. There is that word again, and I've used this already in my writing, so I'm going to see if I can remember how to write it. But if not, let me just double check in my word bank. Oh, here it is. I can use that to help me, but I'm going to try and see if I can remember because I've been practicing how to write space. So let's see if I can remember. And an F. Great. Yes, I'm right. I've remembered and practiced my words. Okay, let me check my sentences. Very important, of course, we check our sentences. She was the, this is one of our words that we've learnt, first Briton in space. And of course, we must not forget to put our full stop at the end. So we have written our sentence all about Helen Sharman. And I know that you will be able to think of more sentences and more interesting sentences yourselves too. Maybe you want to write about how she was an engineer and a chemist, 2 big words that you can learn. Maybe you want to write that Helen Sharman was from Sheffield. Maybe you could look at a map of our country and find out where Sheffield is. Then you will know exactly where Helen Sharman has come from. So I look forward to reading your pages all about the first Briton to go to space, Helen Sharman. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a lovely day, work very hard, and I'll see you then. Goodbye.